365 Sports.
Or used to, it's like, especially with a guy like this who's been a great coach for over 20 years. I mean, he is date. So I don't expect much from these folks. I mean, if you've watched any tape, if you have access to any Oklahoma State, or if you've actually sat through a game, I feel horrible for you.
Yeah.
I mean, they are really, really bad. But unfortunately, Baylor has history of having to play teams in this state. And so it's going to be extremely important to throw the first punch today. And you cannot let a team this overmatched, you cannot let them get any confidence or feel good about themselves. And that's really all their interim coach. And I've known Doug Meacham for a lot of years. He's got really good hair. And I think he uses one of those, what do you call, like a crimping iron or something. Man loves to put a good curl in his hair. And frizz, what do you do? Like, isn't there like a frizz control or something?
Yeah,
he uses
diffuser
some of that
or something like that.
This guy on the sideline is a fun guy to watch, kind of like the Gundy. They played together. This is the scary part to me, is because the Bears have been down this road before, and Meacham is to Gundy what Jerry Kill was to Gary Patterson. They were extremely close. And there's a feeling of like, I got to do right by my guy who's given me so many opportunities over the years. And so I think we got to keep an eye on right out of the chute what he's up to and what he's trying to do. And much like K-State, this is a good fan base.
For sure.
Oklahoma State will show up, and I mean, I'm not saying they'll be packed, but they're better than some fan bases about showing up and appreciating their players, even when things have gone really poorly.
No, I agree. I think this is one of those games of having your coach fired midweek not midweek, Tuesday is not a great fire starter for these guys, especially the way the season's been trending. But I don't want to disrespect OSU in any way. But for Baylor, I feel like this is a game that you have to look at them as a Samford opponent of, okay, let's dig our heels in. Like, let's really lock in. Let's do our job, because they lost their head coach this week, haven't been performing well, lost their starting quarterback at the beginning early of the season. Hopefully he comes back soon. But for Baylor to continue to make an impact and to turn this around, I know it's not very kind, but to be so realistic of, okay, if I'm a Baylor football player, what am I thinking? That's my mentality of going into this game of, hey, we need to take care of business, do our job. We also have not been playing well, haven't been trending the way we want to trend. Let's really use this game to try to flip that script against a Big 12 opponent.
And I think Scotty would like to go ahead and make the hire here of Gundy, like right away. Like I think he's mad that Gundy's not
here.
Let's
call him. Let's give him a call
in Waco.
Listen, that's a man who can help any offense in America. I mean, the guy is just an offensive genius. Here's the deal. There's two sides to this game, right? There's the talent deficit. There is a tremendous talent deficit between these two football teams today. Now, I am not going to be Faith Lynch and say that it's as dramatic as Baylor and Samford, but yes, Oklahoma State, their talent is depleted. Like that's just not a secret to anybody watching this football game. The other side of this game, though, is football is an emotional game, and you can have momentum swings happen quickly. I'll tell our friend Alyssa later. The only game I've been to in Stillwater was in 2013. Baylor was ranked number 3 in the country, vying for a spot in the BCS National Championship game. And Bryce Petty trips on the 5-yard line. The next play, Shock Linwood coughs up the football. Oklahoma State runs it back 99 yards for a touchdown. That happened in the first quarter. That game was over right there because the crowd was in it, the team was in it, and Baylor watched that happen, and Baylor was out of it. So as Matt pointed out, it is important for Baylor today to come out swinging first, get the first punch in, throw some haymakers around. I want to see Sawyer Robertson throw a deep ball. I don't know how we didn't call one deep ball shot against Arizona State, right? Get a shot in, because if you let Oklahoma State get a couple of emotional haymakers in early, and that crowd will show up. I think that stadium will be close to full because that fan base and that student body is awesome at showing up for football.
And I hate their paddles. I mean,
we've got one here on set, actually.
You had that. I'm sure you were exposed to that evening.
Kind of.
Oh, is that the Pokes paddle or whatever? And I don't know who would have started that. Who started the cowbell thing? Who started like letting people just slam their paddles into the stands? It's extremely annoying. You hear that little Loranda thing I'm doing? Every once in a while, I mean, the man has had an impact on me. I did call for his firing at one point.
Oh my gosh.
But I like when he does. No, that's Scotty. Scotty's like, get Gundy in here immediately.
That's a false narrative.
I do think Gundy, like this offseason, needs to be in here as a consultant if he would do it. But no, Dave does this one thing. It's kind of like that. And it's.
Can you stop doing that to the microphone, please?
No, I'm going to be doing it. In fact, the director today, Grant, loves it. If he put that sandwich down over there, really focus on things, he'd know that's really a good. That's going to have a good impact on the show. Is me doing Aranda-like things and maybe even whispering a little bit.
That's good, Matt. That's
good. Yeah.
Well, when we come back, we're going to take a quick break. Mosley's Mind will be next up on our slate for today. So take a quick break and make sure you stay with us for Mosley's Mind.
Falconberry Construction is now Gather & Co. Kitchen and Bath. Check out gathercoremodeling.com. Thanks so much for sponsoring Green and Gold Game Day.
At Hellberg, we've received accolades for our barbecue, but my real passion is in cultivating world-class culinary experiences that bring people together. We would love to cater your next event. You receive a fully personalized experience complete with a custom menu that's sure to impress your guests. And even though we're known for our barbecue, it goes way beyond that. We've done everything from box lunches to grilled oysters and whole roasted pigs. Basically, if you can dream it, we can do it. This is at the heart of what we do. This is Hellberg.
At Camp Info Waco, we believe fun is more fun outside. We also believe fun is more fun in the pool, by the water park, at your RV, in a cabin, and with the friends and family you love the most. So grab a drink, take a ride, and stay a while. We think you'll discover that fun is more fun outside, too.
I mean, yeah, a new coach comes in, they're going to churn the roster. I think that's just we've got all these transfer portal stats and what Dion did and what Fritz has done. I mean, that's the deal, man. That's the game that's being played nowadays.
Maybe a little bit unknown at quarterback. I mean, unknown to the rest of the world, but, you know, he dove into the portal and got a guy who is super, super athletic.
South Dakota State's really good. Give us a little bit of breakdown about what they can do and what Oklahoma State needs to be worried about.
Look at that form right there. I need to say nothing else about this because I found one.
When Central National Bank decided to partner with Baylor women's basketball, we didn't know exactly what that partnership would look like.
What brings you into the bank today?
For the last couple of months, I've been noticing a charge on my account, and I would like to block it.
I see. So you have a charge,
Yes?
and you'd like to block it?
Yes.
I think you should take the charge.
What?
Yeah, I definitely think you should take the charge.
I don't think you understand.
Sometimes you just have to take one for the team.
Is there a manager available?
We love that Coach Collin is all about the team. Once we get the vocabulary down, the sky's the limit.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor women's basketball.
I have Mac Rhodes, director of Baylor Athletics, on the phone. Mac, can you tell Peggy why she should take the charge?
Of course she should take the charge. Wait, are you at the bank again? And who is Peggy?
I'm Cole Posey, and I'm a third-generation Baylor Bear. During my time playing baseball at Baylor, I started a hat company called Hondo, which started as meek and humble beginnings, has quickly grown into something more. Over 40,000 hats sold, and in over 100 retail locations nationwide. I love vintage Western hats, but couldn't stand the condition they came in, so I decided to make my own. Vintage style, but with modern aesthetics. Thank you so much for making my dream come true and for enabling what was once a dream to become a reality. God bless.
Welcome back to the 365 Sports Green and Gold Game Day Show. I'm Faith Lynch, Matt Mosley. We're going to dive into Mosley's mind here. I'm not going to give a Matt Mosley impression. It's not in my bones, but he's here in the flesh. So
that's right. Come in with a good tight shot, please. I like sometimes they put things up on my show, Faith, and it's a little too tight. I was asking Scotty the other day, can we get some? Is there any way to get some distance on these shots?
A little bit.
That's okay. See, there's some removal there, but some of those shorts they put up, it's like right up in my face here. Shows a lot of imperfections. I have a lot of scars. Okay, a lot of fights over the years. Okay, you don't have a fan vote or something to do?
No,
Thank you, Brazos Landing. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for hosting Scotty and I today. We'll be right in the middle of things over there. That beautiful deck. I may jump right into Brazos. Things get a little warm. What a beautiful fall day it is to sit out at Brazos Landing. The Bang Bang Shrimp. Faith is something you might want to keep in mind. The BLT is a great option. And so love the Lindsay family. Thank you for the Brazos Landing. All right. What's in Mosley's mind is what we do right now. Dave Aranda, I said it already. He talked about being somber and the somberness Monday. And that, for some reason, that bothered me. Like, it's fine. It's like sometimes I don't want my head coaches to be like quite that up front. Like it was a somber Monday. It's like I would rather it be an angry Monday. Like we were upset. I mean, I relate to that better than, well, we're still somber and we got to try to coach that out of them and we got to kind of look ahead. This is the most thoughtful, and he might be the smartest coach in America. It is funny that one guy got fired, and I don't know if two more polar opposites than Mike Gundy and Dave Aranda. They're so different. The charisma is different. Now, not that Dave doesn't have charisma, but it does come across in a different way. I think OSU early in this game, and you can look for it, Faith, and go, well, Uncle Matt told me about that. There'll be a haymaker thrown very early. Will there be fake punts? Will there be onside kicks? Yes. Like it's just what they're trying to do is make their kids stay and see if some of the decent players that they have, can they retain some of their talent? On Thursday, Scotty and I obtained their practice report. I think others had it as well. And it had like 27 people who might be out or like questionable for OSU. I think some of those guys have elected to play. This is one of the, I think it could be one of the best interim jobs in the country because like so many people don't expect anything. They got beat 69-3. Then they got beat by Tulsa. First time they've lost at home to Tulsa since 1951. Like it's an embarrassing low. So there are no expectations. So even if you were able to keep this within 2 touchdowns, there'll be a thought like, Meacham's got them playing. Yeah. Meacham had them show up and everything. Now, is this one of those win one for the Gipper situations like what happened to Baylor in 2021? Absolutely it is. He stopped by the other day to talk to his players. They let Gundy stop by. Yeah, and he got profane. There's language that can't be used on the green and gold game day, but he said, go out and get after Baylor's rears. And he said it in a little more colorful manner than that, but that's going to be interesting to watch how their demeanor is. And can Baylor match that intensity or even come out with more intensity? So look for that early in the game. And then the other key, this is what's on my mind today, Faith, and I want you to respond to this if you so choose. The takeaways, and people get mad, boy, Joey McGuire, don't bring him up. Texas Tech is kind of riding high right now. They got all the money. He used to say something called, I don't know where he got it. I think maybe it was his thing. Who knows? But it was like a take three. And what that was get 3 takeaways. And I think that's very important. I think they're going to win the game, honestly, no matter how many takeaways they have today. But boy, to set up, we were hoping, you mentioned Samford earlier, you were hoping the guys who had, Micah Gifford was one of them, the guys who had interceptions against it, that there would be some carryover effect. These games don't dictate a season. What they do is they dictate an attitude. Yeah. So if you go out there and you could win by 30 or 40 points, you just feel so much better. And then you move forward. And then you play a K-State team that's not going to come in here. I'll tell you a team that can lose and still be dangerous week to week, that's K-State. Because they have enough players and they have a coach that doesn't. And they have a coach who honestly would never go, we're somber. We got some somber fellas in there on Monday. We're still a little somber. Because Kleiman, he doesn't roll like that. He's not wired like that at all. So what I hope is throughout the week, that there's been a little bit of an anger and a little bit of a reminder that they've got a lot ahead of them this season. Because if you don't watch it, 2-2 can go to 3-5 in a hurry. We saw it go to 2-4 last season. You just pray it can't happen against OSU. But it's a bad team, but it's a bad team that has something to play for, Faith. And so it's when you come out with as much emotion as you're going to see from them, you have to account for it. You have to know it's coming, but you have to counter it, and you have to bring your own energy. I think the best thing Baylor can do is know, hey, we're not good at home. We've been pretty good on the road, and maybe this is an opportunity to they wanted SMU. Maybe this opportunity to get on the road, and whatever is their bugaboo and their problem at home, we'll worry about that next week. Like, go try to get some form of swagger back.
No, I don't disagree. A lot of good things there. I think you want to have good takeaways as you go into each week. And so Scotty kind of brought it up a minute ago, but I think this is a very emotional week for both of these teams of, okay, Baylor's coming off of the somber Monday that you're talking about of, okay, how do these guys respond? Are we going to be somber and are we going to be upset? I think you saw an emotional Josh Cameron on the sideline last week. You saw an emotional Trig, just throwing helmets, upset, making unfortunate plays at unfortunate times. And then for Oklahoma State, you're losing a coach. You're trying to get fired up from him having his last remarks of, okay, how is this Oklahoma State team going to respond? So you have both of these teams in these positions right now of, okay, how do we want to decide our season from right now? Do we want to quiet down and say, okay, for Oklahoma State, let's just, we can just ride it out and no one expects anything different from us. If we come out and never win another game, no one's going to be surprised that we don't win another game just because of everything going on. For Baylor, it's like, hey, we could be at this spot like we were again last season. How do we respond and how do we want to change that? So I think it'll be interesting. I think the first quarter is going to say a lot about what's going to happen in this game today, just of how both teams come out, how they both look. For Baylor today to get another to get a win away, I think is big, and to create that momentum to then come back home next week. But for Oklahoma State, I mean, I'd love to see this offensive coordinator just, like you said, try a whole bunch of different things. Let's just see what these guys got. Let's see what these guys are willing to give. Let's see who's willing to stay. We're in a day and age of if someone is going to enter the portal or if someone knocks on a guy's door and offers X amount of money, they're in a spot this year to be able to take that. So it'll be interesting to see what the turnover for Oklahoma State, I think after this game looks like too, with this new portal window as well.
Yeah, exactly. And what if they could build on, for Baylor, that there were parts of that game where it was a decent defensive performance.
Absolutely.
And the quarterback, Sawyer, talked about that. We didn't take advantage of that, and he felt like he was inspired by them, and they let them down. Now, they kicked it in. It was just a little too late. They had the great touchdown drives late. You know what they're capable of. I thought Dave came pretty close to calling out his best players. And what he was saying is our receivers, obviously Trigg had a good game, but I think he was saying his top receivers, including Cameron, who's a great leader on this team, did not get separation and did not make the plays they needed to. Yeah. Bryson Washington made a huge play late in the game, running back and got loose, and I think that was good. They're going to have to find – I just think this is a game where you score in various ways. If it's about the running game today, great. Get the offensive line. This is where you remind yourself, we might be pretty good. We may be a pretty good team. And so the defense really needs to build on it. The worst result is losing, and then we'll be talking about firings, and it will be a lot of horrible stuff. The next worst is – giving up 24 to 28 points to a team that has had no offensive success. And I'm telling you that those of us who live through that 31-28 Chandler Morris, and if Chandler Morris didn't show up last night and lead his own upset, that was him in Virginia. I mean, these guys, you forget about them for about 2 or 3 years and they're still playing. That's why, like, when Scotty and I get in a conversation about who has eligibility left, my answer is always like, I promise he does. If he needs it, he'll go to court. And he can find like a 7th or 8th year.
Yeah.
So what Oklahoma State desperately needed and what Gundy needed was to not have that injury to their starting quarterback. And that Hoss Haney played at Alito, won a couple of state titles. I know his family well. The fastest quarterback in the country.
Interesting.
He is, and but he's not too fast right now because he's got the foot injury, had to have surgery, and so when asked, they said he would be back in a few weeks. That doesn't do him any good today.
Yeah,
but it's going to be a weird atmosphere because I don't know if it's a celebration of Gundy. It's a breath of fresh air. We got a new start because it's like the end of the Tom Landry era. The same people with the Cowboys, the same people were like, fire him. I mean, this is horrible. We hate this losing. When they fired him, there was this outpouring of grief and hatred toward Jerry Jones. Like, I think this AD at Oklahoma State, who's been kind of ineffective and didn't even have a contract, and then I think privately they had to give him an extension perhaps. And we still don't know exactly if that's happened, but they had to send a guy up there to talk, and he really didn't have that many great answers. And they're really not that great of a program right now across the board. Like, you played against Oklahoma State volleyball. They're bad right now. They had good women's basketball, and they made their coach just left to go somewhere good, Arizona. I think she went to Arizona. They're not good at men's basketball. They've bottomed out in football. And I always find that interesting that their reaction to that would be, but we are going to extend our AD. It's like, really? You're not doing well at really anything right now.
Yeah.
Can you think of something? What are they good at doing?
They don't have a volleyball team. So Oklahoma State was off of my radar forever. I just kind of knew about
How can you not have a volleyball team?
I know. I think they have a swim and dive and a wrestling team.
Oh, the wrestling is huge. They are good at wrestling.
They are good at wrestling. But we will get more into some of this with Faith on the Field. My piece today is about Mike Gundy and just my thoughts of what I would think as an athlete, my coach getting fired mid-season or middle season, and what I would expect from that. But we'll hear more about that when we come back. Thank you to Matt for Matt Mosley's Mind, and stick around with us to see Faith on the Field. Hello, guys. Welcome back to Dear Sports. I am so pumped to be back in the podcast world and filming season 2 of Dear Sports. On this podcast, you're going to find stories from former and current athletes about their journey through sports and the impact it has made in their life. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow our Instagram and Twitter to stay updated on all things Dear Sports.
At Hellberg, we've received accolades for our barbecue, but my real passion is in cultivating world-class culinary experiences that bring people together. We would love to cater your next event. You receive a fully personalized experience complete with a custom menu that's sure to impress your guests. And even though we're known for our barbecue, it goes way beyond that. We've done everything from box lunches to grilled oysters and whole roasted pigs. Basically, if you can dream it, we can do it. This is at the heart of what we do. This is Hellberg.
365 Sports Green and Gold Game Day is made possible in part by Ascension Providence here in Waco.
At Camp Info Waco, we believe fun is more fun outside. We also believe fun is more fun in the pool, by the water park, at your RV, in a cabin, and with the friends and family you love the most. So grab a drink, take a ride, and stay a while. We think you'll discover that fun is more fun outside, too.
Welcome to a special edition of the Doomsday podcast, coming to you from the Star in the players' meeting room with defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus.
You now have two responsibilities this year that you didn't have last year, and that's being a first-time head coach and calling plays for Dak Prescott for the first time. But now we're doing something that we do annually. We get Stephen Jones's perspective on this football team and how it was built and what expectations should be.
Welcome back to the 365 Sports Green and Gold Game Day Show. I'm Faith Lynch, Scotty Swingler, Matt Mosley, Jackson Posey just arrived. He will be on set shortly. We're going to get into Faith on the Field, but want to thank Hondo Hat Company, my guy Cole Posey, for sponsoring us and believing in us. He has some sick hats that we have. So just thank you to Hondo Hat Company. Make sure you go look at some of their stuff. Scotty is a big fan.
Big fan.
Huge fan.
Tremendous.
But to continue our conversation just about Mike Gundy and what happened on Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. Mike Gundy was fired after 21 seasons at Oklahoma State. They gave him the boot, which just kind of breaks my heart, to be honest, to be a quarterback there, to have coached there. He coached at Baylor in 96. He was at Baylor for 1 year, which is kind of a fun tie into what's going on this weekend. I don't know. I feel like college athletics is moving into an era of no more OG college athletics, Big 12. Like when I think of the Big 12 and I think Oklahoma State, I think of Mike Gundy, visor, mullet, going nuts in the sideline. Like when I think of Oklahoma State, I see Mike Gundy in my head. And so you're seeing a lot of these guys like Bill Snyder, Bob Stoops. Like there's no more OG Big 12 guys anymore. So that just, my heart kind of breaks for that. I think a lot of fans are excited that Gundy is gone because they want to see an automatic change. Personally, as a former athlete, I don't know if I'd want my coach to be gone 3, 4, or 5 weeks into the season, regardless of if we're winning, if we're losing. I think it just creates a lot of turmoil, a lot of, okay, what's going on at the AD level, what's going on internally in our program. The offensive coordinator stepping up in that position, I think, is helpful just to provide some consistency. But I don't know what change this is going to bring immediately. Mike Gundy was not a guy, I think, that truly bought into the NIL, into that way of college athletics and college football of where it's trending. And so I think that presented a problem. To me, I don't really see logistically of, okay, let's go buy this guy out for $15 million. And then hopefully that will solve our NIL rev share problem that we're donors and maybe fans are upset about that we're not buying into. I think it kind of puts you back in a deficit. I don't know. Maybe now these donors are ready to get involved because they've made a change and Gundy's gone. I just think it's really sad of both of his sons have posted on Instagram of these long captions of just how much they're thankful for him and his time and what the university means to them. And so it's just I guess somber can be our word of the day. Just a somber, sad time. I saw a tweet from Brett McMurphy. Since 1986, Mike Gundy has been Oklahoma State quarterback, assistant, or head coach for 410 of the Cowboys' 466 games. Today versus Baylor will be the first time in 309 consecutive games Gundy will not be on the OSU sideline. To me, that just like snaps my heart in half. I love tradition. I love OG college athletics, and that is Mike Gundy. So to see him go just so quickly and swiftly, I think breaks my heart. There's been rumors. I know Barstool kind of talked about a little bit of, I think he was offered to retire, then said no. And so they said, okay, we're going to fire you. So I don't know how all that played out. I tried to find a source, but Barstool talked about it a little bit on their podcast this week. I don't know. My heart breaks for these guys. I think it's sad. I don't think he really did anything wrong. I mean, people so easily forget in 2021, he was in the Big 12 championship game.
Well, and they bounced back in 2023. He was in it too,
right?
Yeah.
But you got beat by Tulsa at home, and it hadn't happened since 1951. And you just let the thing just bottom out. And so, yeah, they had to have a change. I'm with you. I hate it because we need characters, and I don't want the only character to be Lane Kiffin. And the only one left that we do stuff with and talk about. Mike Leach was a huge loss for college football, and Gundy was kind of in that realm, and he was even in that sort of family of air raid, and they're all sort of together. And so he's young enough. He'll tell you his age. He did it. In fact, we just celebrated the anniversary of that just the other day, and he gets fired. The "I'm a man, I'm 40" speech, and he gets fired the day after that. Now, what he said is true, though, because you worry more about like all the assistants and all the staff that you've put together and all those families and everybody that's moved to Stillwater and put their lives, because they're not getting a buyout of $15 million. He's going to be fine. But I mean, as we've seen with the former Baylor coach, he got a huge money on his way out and retires to Marble Falls, and I would imagine because of his inability to coach anymore is just miserable. Now Gundy won't be under that same rules, and so he'll be able to come back out somewhere. So I hate it. I noticed, Scotty, that when Faith talked about the OGs, who she didn't mention? Gary Patterson.
He was on there, but
listen,
one of the true OGs.
I'm ancient, so I graduated 10 and a half years ago. When I started at Baylor, TCU and Gary Patterson were not in the conference. They were an out-of-conference opponent. Texas A&M was still in the conference.
Oh, wow.
But you know who was a stalwart in the conference even my freshman year? Mike Gundy.
Yeah.
and Oklahoma State. I mean, truly, when I started that freshman year, the two opposing coaches I always had the highest respect for, just as a student who was very involved, were Bill Snyder, for obvious reasons, and Mike Gundy. So to your point, Faith, very much feels like one of the old guard, if you want to use that phrase, maybe the godfather of the current Big 12 coaches in some ways, right? Especially from his ability to say what he thinks and not care. Yeah, it's sad for the conference. It is, and I hope he finds his way back into coaching.
Yeah, me too. His brother seems to think so, that he'll still be coaching, maybe even join him. That would be fun. But stick around with us. Thanks for listening to Faith on the Field. When we come back, the Big 12 wraparound is what we will be talking about next. So stay tuned. Welcome back to Dear Sports. I am so pumped to be back in the podcast world and filming season 2 of Dear Sports. On this podcast, you're going to find stories from former and current athletes about their journey through sports and the impact it has made in their life. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow our Instagram and Twitter to stay updated on all things Dear Sports.
At Hellberg, we've received accolades for our barbecue, but my real passion is in cultivating world-class culinary experiences that bring people together. We would love to cater your next event. You receive a fully personalized experience complete with a custom menu that's sure to impress your guests. And even though we're known for our barbecue, it goes way beyond that. We've done everything from box lunches to grilled oysters and whole roasted pigs. Basically, if you can dream it, we can do it. This is at the heart of what we do. This is Hellberg.
365 Sports Green and Gold Game Day is made possible in part by Ascension Providence here in Waco.
At Camp Info Waco, we believe fun is more fun outside. We also believe fun is more fun in the pool, by the water park, at your RV, in a cabin, and with the friends and family you love the most. So grab a drink, take a ride, and stay a while. We think you'll discover that fun is more fun outside, too.
Welcome to a special edition of the Doomsday podcast, coming to you from the Star in the players' meeting room with defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus.
You now have two responsibilities this year that you didn't have last year, and that's being a first-time head coach and calling plays for Dak Prescott for the first time. But now we're doing something that we do annually. We get Stephen Jones's perspective on this football team and how it was built and what expectations should be.
Falconberry Construction is now Gather & Co. Kitchen and Bath. Check out gathercoremodeling.com. Thanks so much for sponsoring Green and Gold Game Day.
.365 Sports Green and Gold Game Day show. I'm Faith Lynch. Bringing you back, we are going to jump into our Big 12 wraparound segment for this week. Get to hear from Pete Souza and some of his thoughts of what's going on in the Big 12.
Big 12 fans, Pete Souza here, coming to you from Big 12 Studios, from the Rogue Media Network studios. A lot of college football this weekend, highlighted by a lot of great Big 12 football matchups. Want to talk about a couple of them as we get set to head into the weekend. Tomorrow night, huge one, Arizona State and TCU. When you look at TCU right now, they'll be on the road playing in Tempe, but they are one of the hottest teams in college football, in my opinion. And one of the reasons is that amazing passing game. Eric McAllister was on the receiving end of some of those Josh Hoover darts last weekend, and he could be again this weekend if Arizona State doesn't do two things. They've got to keep absolutely have to keep TCU's wide receivers in front of them, right? If you allow Eric McAllister to get behind the defense or even to catch the ball in space, tackling has been a problem for most of college football this season. It actually has not been for Arizona State, thanks to guys like Keyshawn Elliott. And we'll have to see that on Friday night. Don't let a guy like Eric McAllister get behind coverage where you can allow for explosive plays that TCU has been making a living on all season long. And you really got to be careful about letting a guy like Eric McAllister catch the ball in front of you in space, right? And get one of those small, short completions and turning them into an explosive. On the other side, Sam Leavitt almost feel like he's been lying in wait. Had a great game against Baylor when he had to make the plays he did, but we need to see a more start-to-finish approach for Arizona State, for Sam Leavitt on Friday night, if you're going to believe that Arizona State can continue to ascend as a program under Kenny Dillingham. And by the way, the stretch that Arizona State is about to get into is going to be rigorous. We're talking about Houston, Iowa State, Texas Tech, and of course TCU. Those teams lie ahead in the next 5 weeks for for Arizona State. So that's going to be a tough game. Also, keep your eye on Houston. They play in the late game on Friday night at Oregon State. It's quite possible that Houston is going to end up 4-0 after that one. They are on an absolute roll. Cincinnati and Kansas, you can watch that one on TNT. That's a huge game for Kansas playing at home. We're going to find out if Brandon Sorsby and that lights out Cincinnati attack offensively is for real. They'll be doing it against a very good Kansas team. And we remember how hot and how strong Kansas finished the year last season, and Jalen Daniels actually doing an even better job to start this season off, quietly having a Jalen Daniels season, right? Once again. And I think that games like this, if he plays well and has a big one, we'll continue to talk about him nationally. 2 more games I want to talk about on our slate. One, Arizona and Iowa State. Had a chance to talk to Anthony Beck this week about Iowa State. I asked him a question. I said, Anthony Rocco Beck's father. I said, what do you think about Iowa State? Like their aspirations as a team, how far can they go? He said, Pete, they're not thinking about anything else but that game against Arizona. And that is a great sign for Cyclone fans. That's exactly why they're so good. You know, Anthony also told me that Rocco and his ability to lead, that stems from all the listening he's done over the years. Now he talks and goes back and forth with offensive coordinator Taylor Mauser because he earned that respect. That's the kind of respect that Rocco commands in the huddle, and he'll command on the field, and he'll do it against an Arizona team. By the way, boasting one of the best defenses in the Big 12, if not the country. We're not talking about Desert Swarm, right? When I was a kid under Dick Toomey, but we're talking about a team that is really coming up fast and furious. Noah Fafita hasn't made many mistakes. He's kind of starting to have the season we had hoped he would have last year. Arizona, this is going to be a great game as they head to Iowa State. Just a 5.5-point favorite, Iowa State is. We don't like to talk about spreads here, but hey, that's telling. And the late night game we've got to dip into, Colorado hosting BYU. Ton of eyeballs on that game, and for very, very good reason. What can Bear Bachmeier do in a hostile environment on the road playing against Coach Prime and a Colorado team that is always piping hot at home and really is always ready to explode at home? We've been waiting for Caden Salter to turn the corner. He did so last week somewhat. Some huge explosive plays. Can he put together a consistent game against a conference opponent? A conference opponent, by the way, ranked 25th in the nation under the tutelage, right, of young quarterback Bear Bachmeier, who has already exceeded expectations. That is a game you've got to watch. And, of course, other great games on the Big 12 slate, Utah and West Virginia. Baylor going in to play Oklahoma State in a situation right now where they've got some chaos. They're trying to settle it down and figure out what they can do. Zane Flores will be quarterback this week for Oklahoma State. Word out of Stillwater is that Hoss Haney will be back in the coming weeks. But right now, it's a brand new organization or a brand new operation under interim coach Doug Meacham. What will they do against Baylor? And then Utah and West Virginia, another real good one to look out for. And don't forget about UCF Kansas State. Also, don't forget to watch Inside the 12. You can catch it in all your Big 12 markets. Catch it on True TV, the Big 12's YouTube page, and, of course, on HBO Max. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Pete, for giving us a preview of the Big 12. Obviously, we got to see the TCU-Arizona State game last night. Unfortunate if you're a TCU fan. like myself a little bit. Not TCU
Oh,
fan.
you can't admit that on
Not
a
TCU
Baylor show.
Fan. Not TCU fan. Josh Hoover fan.
Odd. That's a very strange.
It was a rough night for Josh Hoover fans.
Let's cut that.
Too.
Let's go. Let's reshoot that,
Oh
please.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, we're gonna give you some score updates. See what's going on in the Big 12. Where are they?
Okay. I will talk while you do that.
Thank you.
I would like to talk about that Arizona State TCU
Yeah,
game
let's do it.
late last night because I stayed up, and I also monitored Houston played late last night, and they found a way. And early in that thing, they were in trouble. They were at Oregon State, and it was looking bad, and they found a way late. And it's not a good, I think we had thought perhaps, Scotty, that Houston was going to show some improvement this season.
And to be fair, they have.
I guess they have.
They were worse last year.
Well, they were awful. They were awful for most of that game. They did find a way, and so they remain undefeated, and they have something interesting coming up, like Tech or something. I think they have a Texas Tech game up. But the Arizona State TCU game, wow. I mean, that was TCU's there for the taking. I mean, Faith would have been so excited. And if they had pulled it out there it was. They're up a touchdown. It's 24-17, and it was just mistake after mistake. Hoover was some interceptions, one late, and then one horrible call on a horse collar on TCU down near the goal line, and it was not a horse collar. They just grabbed him by the side. Like, if you can review the targeting, like, honestly, you should be able to go back and watch some of those, like a horse collar especially. I mean, it was just a huge moment, and they just missed the call. The guy grabbed him by the side of his shoulder pad and pulled him down, and it was an enormous call. And then TCU couldn't move the ball last night, and they're like, this was the year they're going to have a run game. The run game wasn't there. And then their top, I think his name is McAllister.
Eric McAllister. He went out with an injury.
Well, he was hanging out, and he was on the field some, and he was extremely ineffective. And they called it a lower body injury. And boy, they're getting better about sharing injuries, but this one was a bad one because, like, at one point they called it an ankle. Later, Sonny Dykes said it was maybe like a hamstring pull or something like that. They were playing fast and loose with that injury, but it turned out to be a huge injury, kind of like Baylor missing Ashton Hawkins last week, and then really not getting a great answer as to, he had a rough week. Well, okay. I mean, it was he wasn't out there much.
No.
What about those other games?
Yeah, we got Cincinnati, Kansas. Cincinnati 27, Kansas 20. Third quarter.
Cincinnati up.
Yeah, Cincinnati up 27 over Kansas 20.
Somewhat surprising.
Cincinnati's kind of sneaky.
I think they got a quarterback that's flying under the radar that we hadn't talked about. And if I thought hard enough, I could remember his name.
Brendan Sorsby.
Yes, the great Sorsby. And he's good. He's pretty good. And Kansas, I thought, had kind of bounced back, and they may win this game yet. But still, that'd be a really nice win for Cincinnati for sure.
We got UCF 7, K-State 24. Also in the third quarter. My heart goes out to UCF with losing their offensive coordinator and just a good friend for that head coach.
Oh, that was an
O-line coach, right?
O-line
yes,
coach,
yeah. Not offensive coordinator, O-line coach. But
real
tough.
Young, like 50 years old, and kids.
Friend of Coach Frost. So
correct. And but that was a very, very tough situation for sure.
So we'd love to see play good football, but good for K-State. I think Avery Johnson needs a little more.
Yeah, let's inflate their confidence before they come to Waco next week. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Let's let him get a win.
That is a quarterback. You don't want to bring him up around Scotty because Scotty was kind of right. I think he was even being mentioned in it's not. I mean, when I'm complimenting you, just accept it and don't gloat. There was too much. There was too much going on. There was too much. There wasn't enough substance. There was a lot of style with the hair.
Yeah.
And then within, first of all, I think it's a disaster to go over to Dublin or wherever they went. You do not want to open up overseas. And when the brother and the dad got in a fight.
Brutal. That's so embarrassing.
But I do think K-State is one of those programs. Iowa State's the same. they show up it's never based on the week before. Like and that's coaching. And Kansas has a little bit of that, but they've got cultures that they can play poorly and you can think they're going to be bad. And the thing is, no matter what happens today, I don't know how Baylor gets back to a point where they're confident at home, but they've got to find it. They've got, like, the mandate given to Dave Aranda for the rest of this season is not just, hey, win games, go to a bowl, try to win the conference. No, it's literally line one is forming some sort of home field advantage. And unfortunately, Baylor is not wired like some of these other fan bases. They're going to show up. I'm talking about not the season ticket holders. A lot of them will be there, and a lot of the tailgaters that love that. But they need to see something. They need to see winning. They need to see, and I don't know if there's anything they can see today that'll impact what that crowd is next week at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
Other than, I think, the Green and Gold game day. I think us being on the scene and being out in the middle of things and the ability to interact with us might drive some folks. I was just hearing some of the numbers on this thing today. Love that you guys are out there. And I just want to look right into the camera and just tell you guys thank you. Well, they put it on face. That's fine.
I have two thoughts about the Big 12 wrap around here. First of all, I hate the result of last night's game because I was really curious to see how TCU would play against Arizona State because I thought it would help me kind of weigh what to expect as TCU gets ready to take on Baylor in a few weeks. However, not only did TCU also lose, it was the exact same final score, and Arizona State won on a field goal at the end of the game.
That's ridiculous.
So it is actually really tough. I can't learn anything about how Baylor TCU is going to look from that result because it was very similar of a performance. The other thing I want to say, guys, there is a sleeping giant in this conference that nobody is talking about except Pete Souza. By the way, we talk about it almost every week on the Pete Souza show, so much so it drives me crazy, but I think Pete's right. When we're talking about Big 12 contenders, Iowa State comes to a lot of people's mind right now, Texas Tech, NIL. Y'all, the Cougars, not from South Texas, but from Utah, the BYU Cougars are undefeated, number 25 in the country. They will likely roll tonight in Boulder. I'd be shocked if they don't just steamroll the Buffaloes, to be honest with you. And they've got a freshman quarterback named Bear Bachmeier who wears the number 47, which is a crime against humanity. But that kid is good. And I know they've not played an outstanding opponent yet, but I got to tell you, why with that head coach and with the talent at quarterback that is clear, why are more of us not talking about this school as a threat to win the conference?
I'll tell you exactly why.
Matt. Tell him why.
Pete Souza is compromised on that team.
I'm not talking about Pete. I asked you why we're not talking about them as a contender.
I'm talking about Pete. I'll talk about what I want to talk about. But I'll tell you, Bear Bachmeier, that is bad 47. But Pete has had so many trips to Salt Lake City and Provo that he is at least half a Mormon at this point. He is come.
I'm not sure the Mormons would endorse that statement.
That Pete
made a commitment. I'm not sure they would look at Pete and be very thrilled that you said that.
I think Pete. Oh, really? They don't love Pete.
Pete, the BYU fans love Pete.
Pete has spent a lot of time.
They love anyone.
They do love.
It's almost like that's what good religion promotes.
I would say so, but I'm tired of, let's go away from that helmet. They're going to get driven by, I feel good about it. Caden Salter's going to have a huge game tonight. Nope. Come back here, please, Grant. Yeah. And this is straight up Colorado wins this game tonight. Okay. They avenge that loss in the Valero Alamo Bowl.
Do you want to bet some Brazos Landing Bang Bang Shrimp on this?
You guys owe me so much. You and Pete.
I don't owe you anything. Pete, what Pete owes you has nothing to do with me.
You've lost a bet as well. I can't remember what it was.
We're going to take a break. We're going to go ahead, go to break. When we come back, we will be checking the results of our poll going into hour 2. Please stay with us and see you in a bit.
At Hellberg, we've received accolades for our barbecue, but my real passion is in cultivating world-class culinary experiences that bring people together. We would love to cater your next event. You receive a fully personalized experience complete with a custom menu that's sure to impress your guests. And even though we're known for our barbecue, it goes way beyond that. We've done everything from box lunches to grilled oysters and whole roasted pigs. Basically, if you can dream it, we can do it. This is at the heart of what we do. This is Hellberg.
At Camp Info Waco, we believe fun is more fun outside. We also believe fun is more fun in the pool, by the water park, at your RV, in a cabin, and with the friends and family you love the most. So grab a drink, take a ride, and stay a while. We think you'll discover that fun is more fun outside, too.
I mean, yeah, a new coach comes in, they're going to churn the roster. I think that's just we've got all these transfer portal stats and what Dion did and what Fritz has done. I mean, that's the deal, man. That's the game that's being played nowadays.
Maybe a little bit unknown at quarterback. I mean, unknown to the rest of the world, but you know, he dove into the portal and got a guy who is super athletic. South Dakota State's really good. Give us a little bit of breakdown about what they can do and what Oklahoma State needs to be worried about. Look at that form right there. I need to say nothing else about this because I found one.
When Central National Bank decided to partner with Baylor women's basketball, we didn't know exactly what that partnership would look like.
What brings you into the bank today?
For the last couple of months, I've been noticing a charge on my account, and I would like to block it.
I see. So you have a charge.
Yes?
And you'd like to block it?
Yes.
I think you should take the charge.
What?
Yeah, I definitely think you should take the charge.
I don't think you understand.
Sometimes you just have to take one for the team.
Is there a manager available?
We love that Coach Colin is all about the team. Once we get the vocabulary down, the sky's the limit.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor women's basketball.
I have Mac Rhodes, director of Baylor Athletics, on the phone. Mac, can you tell Peggy why she should take the charge?
Of course she should take the charge. Wait, are you at the bank again? And who is Peggy?
I'm Cole Posey, and I'm a third-generation Baylor Bear. During my time playing baseball at Baylor, I started a hat company called Hondo, which started as meek and humble beginnings, has quickly grown into something more. Over 40,000 hats sold, and then over 100 retail locations nationwide. I love vintage Western hats, but couldn't stand the condition they came in, so I decided to make my own. Vintage style, but with modern aesthetics. Thank you so much for making my dream come true, and for enabling what was once a dream to become a reality. God bless.
Welcome back to the 365 Sports Green and Gold Game Day Show. Faith Lynch, Matt Mosley, and Jackson Posey is now joining us. Yay, Jackson. So glad you're here. Thanks for joining us again.
Absolutely. Happy to be back.
Yeah, we're going to check the results of our first poll. Drum roll for the graphic.
All right, first poll. Well, let's tell them what it is. Tell them what they won. There it is. Okay.
How
nice.
will the coaching change affect OSU? Won't have a big impact.
Let's see. Let me look at the percentages here.
We're having some strong faith. I don't know. I just feel like if my head coach, without a warning, just was like packing it up, I'm leaving, fired, resigning, whatever, retiring. I feel like that just provides confusion, and you're in an environment that is just chaotic. Like you can't tell me on a Tuesday you lose your head coach and then Saturday it's all right, we're ready to go. I mean, I hope they do. I guess.
No, but here's the deal: they're so awful, Faith,
Yeah.
and they've been so awful. It can't get any worse. It cannot.
Really?
The bottom is a loss at home,
To
and I'm sure
Tulsa.
Jackson may address some of this history, but we're going back to 1951. So the good news for OSU fans is that nothing happens today can get any worse. Like even getting beat 50-0 by Baylor is not as bad as 19-13 to Tulsa.
Okay.
So they've bottomed out. They have reached bottom. And so today I'm anxious to see it. And it's interesting. And I agree with the fans. If I had the ability to log on and vote, I would have voted just, y'all do tell me the site. But no, I would love to. I would have voted with the 58%. I think that's fair.
Very fair. Poll 2, we're going to launch. Which Baylor position group has a standout game today? Defense front 7, defensive backs, Baylor's O-line, Baylor's offensive skill players. I would love to see defensive front 7, defensive backs, defensive O-line, or defensive offensive skill players. I would love to see defensive front 7. I think if we can take last week's defense and continue to ride on that to these next couple games, I think that means, okay, we're making progress.
I think I would most like, just as just entertainment value for the skill players to just go off today.
Yeah.
And I think Dave Aranda Monday, Jackson heard this, I think he basically called them out and just said our stars weren't stars.
Yeah.
He didn't say those words, but that's what he was basically saying. We didn't make plays down the field. They weren't getting open. And they're arguably their best offensive player, maybe outside of Sawyer and maybe Bryson. But Josh Cameron made just 2 huge mistakes.
At bad times.
Yeah, just killed them. I mean, they almost won. I mean, that's what I keep forgetting, is that they almost overcame losing the turnover margin by 3. So it's not like I think you look at Arizona State and go, oh, they're way better than Baylor. But again, Arizona State could have cashed in on some of those touchdowns when Baylor kept them out of the deal. They've been so bad on defense this year that you're right. When they have an opportunity to do some things on defense, you have to capitalize and win that game, and they didn't do it.
I agree. Jackson Posey is here in the studio with us. He's going to give us a little overview of the Oklahoma State versus Baylor, a hidden rivalry. Give us a little history lesson, Jackson.
Yeah, so this goes all the way back to 1914. And as a lot of things were in 1914, things were a little bit different. Oklahoma State wins that game 60-0. And then the Bears kind of start hitting their groove a little bit, win the next 9, including 5 shutout victories. But one thing that people forget, Oklahoma State has a national championship. Do we know who gave Oklahoma State that championship? Because it was not the AP voters who unanimously gave it to Army in 1945. They could kind of recruit people a little bit differently because of World War II. There were 3 people on the panel. R.C. Slocum was one of them. Georgia head coach, that would be Vince Dooley, was on that panel. And Grant Taft was the 3rd member of the panel that gave Oklahoma State a national championship.
But you're saying many years later,
yes,
they awarded them the 45 championship? Because obviously, RC was barely alive at the time, 1945. So all those years later, the panel, Grant, R.C. Slocum, and who else you say?
Vince Dooley from Georgia. So 2016 Oklahoma State petitions, they say, hey, we know that Army was the undefeated, unanimous AP #1 team that year, and all 9 selectors picked them to be the national champions. But we feel a little bit left out. And so the then Oklahoma A&M College Aggies are now technically a 1945 champion. It's painted on their end zones, on the little wall behind the end zones. Let's look a little bit more specifically.
And by the way, those coaches you mentioned, Vince would have already been like 85 by then. Grant was about 80 because he's in his 90s now. And RC was about 65. So they put a panel. I mean, Scotty and I talked about this, Jackson. I think it's time for Baylor to look into claiming more titles. And there's some stuff that happened in the 20s.
What's going to stop you?
I don't
Might
know.
as well.
Who Auburn claimed some new ones recently, didn't they? I think we decided that Baylor in 24 has a good claim to one. So
I have good memories of that year. So
yeah.
So looking more specifically, 1983. This is a big year for Oklahoma A&M College, or I guess at that point it was Oklahoma State and Baylor. Baylor comes into this year with a really high-flying offense led by a guy named Gerald McNeil. This guy played in the NFL, second-round pick. In the NFL, he was listed at 5'7", 145. So you might imagine he was even smaller in college. He was nicknamed the Ice Cube, played with Refrigerator Perry, and in the words of the LA Times, he was called the Ice Cube because he was, quote, small and slippery. And so that's kind of the guy leading the charge for Baylor. They've got another guy with 40-something catches. Nobody else on the roster has double-digit receptions. But it's one of the highest flying passing offenses in the nation. Scotty's BYU Cougars fell victim to them this year. BYU with Steve Young drops that season opener against Baylor. They win out the rest of the season. So they could probably claim that national championship if they want to. But kept them from being undefeated. Baylor struggles a little bit more as the season goes on and winds up with a berth in the Astro Bluebonnet Bowl, This was the Bluebonnet Bowl, played in the Astrodome in Houston on New Year's Eve against an Oklahoma State team that was pretty good that season. Wins against Tulsa, which you can't take for granted at this point in history. And they were coached by a guy named Jimmy Johnson. So not the first Cowboy, last Cowboy.
Baylor lost that game.
Baylor did lose that game.
Yeah, and I was there. A young 10-year-old Mosley was in the stands at the Astrodome, the eighth wonder of the world. And that was my Christmas gift, was tickets to that Bluebonnet Bowl. And they used to have the greatest graphics, Jackson. You would have liked it. The old school, like 70s, 80s, and it would have like guns firing off, but it looked like light bright. And that's a dated reference as well. But yeah, the Astrodome, and then Baylor goes back to the Bluebonnet Bowl, by the way, in 1986 and wins, and I believe beats Colorado. But that Bluebonnet Bowl was played, I think, over at Rice Stadium instead of the Astrodome. So anyway, you're bringing back good man. And Gerald, I've had him on the show before. He's somehow tied in to the famous guy from Houston, Mattress Mac. In fact, Gerald does a lot of like his flyers and mailings and all that stuff. He's in that kind of business and printing or something along those lines. And he works with Mattress Mac in Houston. But the Ice Cube, Gerald McNeil, was incredible. And when you said he was like 145, he looked even smaller. And Jackson, like, there's no way you would look at him out of uniform and go, that guy is not going to survive a football game. And yet he was always the best player on the field.
I mean, I'm 5'7", 135.
He was,
and I imagine he was probably around that size.
Yeah, I would not want to send you out to battle today, even against a bad OSU team. I mean, we would not get you back. But the Cube was fearless.
And he's out there playing with Refrigerator Perry for the Bears too. So probably some
fantastic I don't know about that one because he played for the Browns for a long time. I don't remember his involvement with, but now Dennis Gentry, former great that played with him, did play for the Chicago Bears as well as Mike Singletary. So anyway, not to fact check you, but
way to go, Matt. Jackson will never come back on our show again.
Jackson. The Bears Ice Cube. I don't have a memory of that, but I love the story.
So that was the only time that Baylor had played against Oklahoma State in the postseason until 2021, when Jared McVay wins the race to the pylon, avenges that Astro Bluebonnet Bowl so many years later, and creates the most iconic play in Baylor history. And so those are the two times Baylor and Oklahoma State have played in the postseason after so many years. Oklahoma State for a long time was in the Missouri Valley Conference. That's when the national championship season comes from. They were playing against Drake and St. Louis.
Yeah, St. Louis had some good teams back then. I mean, I thought they had a good offense and they were good in the trenches. And Oklahoma State, 83, by the way, was their quarterback was Rusty Hilger, I think, who went on played a little NFL. But yeah, those are good memories there.
That was my freshman year of college. It was 21. So that was like super excited. We have our photo behind me of the iconic play, but that was a crazy game. I mean, comes down to the wire. I was just happy to be there because I was like, this is sick. Like, we're in the Big 12 championship freshman year. Like, this is awesome. But no, great times for Baylor. Thank you, Jackson. That was awesome.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, we will be going behind enemy lines with Alyssa Brandon. Super stoked to have her on our show today. Welcome back to Dear Sports. I am so pumped to be back in the podcast world and filming season 2 of Dear Sports. On this podcast, you're going to find stories from former and current athletes about their journey through sports and the impact it has made in their life. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow our Instagram and Twitter to stay updated on all things Dear Sports.
At Hellberg, we've received accolades for our barbecue, but my real passion is in cultivating world-class culinary experiences that bring people together. We would love to cater your next event. You receive a fully personalized experience complete with a custom menu that's sure to impress your guests. And even though we're known for our barbecue, it goes way beyond that. We've done everything from box lunches to grilled oysters and whole roasted pigs. Basically, if you can dream it, we can do it. This is at the heart of what we do. This is Hellberg.
365 Sports Green and Gold Game Day is made possible in part by Ascension Providence here in Waco.
At Camp Info Waco, we believe fun is more fun outside. We also believe fun is more fun in the pool, by the water park, at your RV, in a cabin, and with the friends and family you love the most. So grab a drink, take a ride, and stay a while. We think you'll discover that fun is more fun outside, too.
Welcome to a special edition of the Doomsday podcast, coming to you from the Star in the players' meeting room with defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus.
You now have two responsibilities this year that you didn't have last year, and that's being a first-time head coach and calling plays for Dak Prescott for the first time. But now we're doing something that we do annually. We get Stephen Jones's perspective on this football team and how it was built and what expectations should be.
Falconberry Construction is now Gather & Co. Kitchen and Bath. Check out gathercoremodeling.com. Thanks so much for sponsoring Green and Gold Game Day.
Welcome back to Green and Gold Game Day. We are live from Waco this morning as we prepare for Baylor at Oklahoma State. I need to refute the allegations. I think BYU is very good. I am wearing blue today, ironically. I am not a BYU fan. Jackson Posey, thank you. Okay. Hey, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Alyssa Brandon. Outstanding. Actually, first, sorry, I didn't read my rundown carefully. I want to thank some of our friends really quick. You've seen the ads. Gather & Co., Kitchen and Bath, outdoor pergola, space to watch the football game, remodel the bathroom so it's safer for mom and dad. Call my friends at Gather & Co. Southern Roots, I like the pizza. Or if you like beer, I like the beer. It's both great. Southern Roots, check it out. Camp Finfo Waco, that's where we do our live tailgate show every week for the home games. So next week, prior to Kansas State, come on out a little early. Come by Camp Finfo's tailgate. We'll be doing this show live. Blake Blackmar will be out there with the pit, smoking up something delicious for you to eat. Southern Roots will be there serving. If you want to partake, we would love to see you there. Okay, now I'm going to introduce my friend Alyssa Brandon. She's an outstanding reporter in Stillwater, junior at Oklahoma State. I asked her to give us some insight on this Oklahoma State program, fan base, players, and what to expect in this afternoon's ball game. Here's Alyssa. I'm Scotty Swingler, and I'm joined now by Alyssa Brandon. Alyssa is not only a current student at Oklahoma State, but she is part of the journalism media world up there in multiple facets. She's got her own podcast, sports director at the television station, all the good stuff. Alyssa, thanks so much for jumping on with us this morning on Green and Gold Game Day.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, and thanks for that great intro. I feel a little bit better about myself now.
Oh, well, you should feel great. You're doing a great job. We had you on the Pete Souza show this week and loved having you. So thought we'd bring you on this morning to speak to this game coming up today. And the first question, I know you're probably exhausted of talking about this, but the big story this week is just going to be the fact that Mike Gundy was fired on Tuesday. We've been talking about it here all morning. What are the vibes like on campus in the wake of Mike Gundy being let go?
Yeah, I think the vibes are just a lot of shock. I had a really interesting way of finding out. I was actually live on a show and my phone started blowing up and I looked down and I was like, okay, guys, we got to break this news. And it was a shock to a lot of us, mainly because just of the timing and just because of how legendary of a coach he is and what he's done for this program. That, I mean, it didn't even come from him. People were saying players found out via social media. He didn't really get to talk to the team until later on in the day. And so I think right now, it's kind of eased over a little bit in the past few days. Now we're on game day, but fans are shocked and fans are a little bit disappointed that he didn't get somewhat of a farewell tour, just because of all that he's done. But at the same time, I think fans are ready for the next era, and they're ready for a guy that wants to come in here and pour into the students and pour into NIL and create a new strategy that can kind of get this ball rolling again for Oklahoma State. We've kind of gotten behind the 8 ball on NIL spending. So I think they're excited for a guy that can come in here and do that.
And I anticipate, we just saw this past weekend, Gary Patterson got his TCU Hall of Fame induction and just a huge welcome home. Gundy will get his. Like he will be honored there in Stillwater forever. I have no doubt, but I know it's been a weird week. That being said, you're right. It's time to go looking for someone else, and a few names on that list of potential prospects for this job. Who are 2 or 3 guys that you think the administration is definitely reaching out to about the opening?
Yeah, I think the number one guy on the list is Zach Robinson, who is the offensive coordinator right now from the Atlanta Falcons. I'm sure y'all have heard that name floated around there as well. And the reason you have is because it's been floating around here for more than just this season. At the end of last season, there were confirmed reports that the office and the administration was actually in conversation with Zach Robinson, or there had been some sort of talking to Zach Robinson. And he was a former quarterback here. And like we've seen, that worked before with Gundy. I mean, they threw him in here and he was an offensive-minded guy, and that seemed to work for a long time there. So Zach Robinson, it'll just be an interesting timeline there, as he's obviously in the middle of an NFL season. But that's one name I would look out for, and I think they're gonna have to bring in some money to be able to pull him in. But it would obviously, I think it would be a pay upgrade for him. And then another guy that people are talking about, the rest of these are really just rumors. We don't have anything confirmed now. But if I was choosing a guy, I'd look down in San Marcos at GJ Kinney. I mean, he's absolutely turned that Texas State program around. And he's a guy that has ties to Oklahoma State as well. He was a graduate assistant under Mike Gundy here in 2008. And that's something that Oklahoma State has really appreciated from hires, is if they've been involved before. I mean, we've seen it with Doug Meacham. He was a coach. He was some sort of analyst here a couple years ago. And then he was also played on the offensive line here with Mike Gundy. So we like guys that have ties to Stillwater here. So GJ Kinney would be a great guy as well. And then I think another guy, if we're throwing any others out there, would be Alex Golish. I mean, he's a name that's just hot in general right now with what he's doing at South Florida. And he's a guy that has ties as well. And he's had time at Ohio State, UCF, Tennessee. I mean, he can bring with him a lot of college football experience, and that's something that we need. So I look out for those 3, but yeah, think about Zach Robinson at the top of that list.
Well, GJ Kinney has burned Baylor twice. I don't know if you knew this, but in the mid-2000s, he was verbally committed to Baylor, flipped to Texas, ended up starring at Tulsa. And then, of course, his debut as the head coach in 2023, Texas State came up here to Waco and beat the brakes off of Baylor in a really embarrassing opener for the Baylor Bears.
My sister was actually going to Texas State at the time.
Oh, man.
And she, not as big as football fan as I am, but she was like, how did we win? We were not supposed to. And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, he's definitely a name that I think Baylor fans are keeping an eye on as well, just in case anything were to open up here in Waco, not to speak too much into that. Okay, so I want to tell you really quickly, just compliment your campus environment and football environment. I made my first trip to Stillwater in 2013. I was a junior at Baylor, and it was number 3 in the nation, Baylor, vying for an opportunity to play in the final BCS national championship game. Going up to Stillwater, early November. College Game Day was there. It was the first time College Game Day had Baylor featured. I was in the front row in my green and gold amidst the sea of orange. I've got awesome pictures from that day. Yeah. And that was the worst football night of my life, Alyssa. Oklahoma State beat the brakes off Baylor. Just embarrassed Baylor. And after I kind of got over the loss, my biggest takeaway from that trip was I think Stillwater and Boone Pickens Stadium might be the most underrated home field advantage in college football. I mean, it is awesome. Like I just can't help but admire it. The way the fans are right on top of the field, the paddles in the corner, the ruckus student section. I mean, it is legit. I loved the stadium environment once I kind of got out of my own head about the Baylor loss. Just love it there. It's so special. What makes it so special for you as a student?
Yeah, I think I 100% totally agree with everything you said there. Like the students on top of the stadium, I think is unlike any other college football stadium across the nation. And I don't think they haven't really talked about this a lot, but USA Today voted Boone Pickens Stadium as the best college football atmosphere in all the nation. I mean, and if that says a lot compared to what the success we're having right now, that we're still like up in those rankings. But yeah, I think it goes back to just what this school was founded on, and it goes back to our alma mater that people are sticking to. The loyal and true, baby. I mean, we're going to stick to that. I mean, everyone's going to stick to that 100%. And that's something that Mike Gundy has really enforced into everyone and just encouraged everyone with. But yeah, for the Tulsa game, I mean, people were I was looking on Twitter and everything. People were like, I don't think it's going to be a very packed stadium. I mean, coming off that 69-3 loss, it could see a lot of bare seats there. And it was actually quite the opposite. It was completely packed. All the suites were filled, supposedly. A lot of people were worried about season ticket holders giving up their tickets, and lots of those were filled as well. So that just shows you that this Cowboy culture, the Cowboy family, they're going to show up no matter what, and they're going to be loyal no matter what. And that just speaks to this program.
So Doug Meacham steps in as the interim head coach, another offensive-minded guy, sure to throw some wrenches at Baylor's defense. But with this fan base, and particularly these players on the field, how do you expect the response to be this week in the wake of that coaching change?
Yeah, I think they're going to be more motivated than ever. And Doug Meacham's a guy, I think that's really getting them motivated. He said that, according to their body language, that it looked like they were going to fight no matter what. And so I think a lot of them are coming in this with a new inspiration that, hey, maybe we can go and support Mike Gundy. Maybe even show people that, hey, like, he did a lot for us, and this is what we want to show out here for it. And then just to put some film on tape for maybe if they're looking forward to a next destination. I mean, Oklahoma State fans hope that's not the case, but I think this will just reinvigorate everyone to have a deeper passion for, hey, let's go out here and show what I've got. So, and we've said before, I think Doug Meacham's going to kind of could create some chaos, throw everything out there. And so I think guys are going to be looking to make really big plays. So I think they're going to respond super well.
It's a big game today, Alyssa. Not only Oklahoma State responding to this Mike Gundy news and change, but also Baylor kind of wanting to be at the front of the Big 12 conversation and dropping the opener to Arizona State in disappointing fashion. Two teams that are, I think, kind of hungry and desperate to get some validation today. I'll be honest, I think Baylor fans probably don't know this Oklahoma State roster as well as they've known rosters of the past, just because of the 0-9 conference record last year and all the shakeup in the transfer portal. Who are two or three guys that Baylor fans need to keep an eye on today on Oklahoma State's side? And then kind of a follow-up to that, how do you expect this defense to try to slow down Sawyer Robertson, who's one of the hottest quarterbacks in college football?
Yeah. Well, to your first question there, I mean, don't feel bad because I had no idea who any of these guys were going into the season. We had so many new additions, so I had to do some serious studying. But yeah, one guy I'd say look out for is running back Rodney Fields. He's a guy that's been with the program since last year. He took a redshirt last year, so he's a redshirt freshman. We had 5 guys that we thought coming into this year could be the starting running back, and there was no confirmation on who that would be. But Rodney Fields made his first start against Tulsa last week, and it was successful. He ran for 117 yards, which is the most he's had in a career. And he's a guy that's just a really, really big speed guy. Not your super physical goal line back, but he can make big plays for you. And he's also a guy that can catch balls out of the backfield. So I would look out for him for sure. And I think this offense is going to rely on him a lot. And then other than that, looking towards outside guys, I would say wide receiver Christian Fitzpatrick. He's a guy that a lot of Oklahoma State fans have had a lot of hope in. He came in with lots of hype. He had like a SportsCenter top 10 catch last year. We were all watching that and hoping that this could translate to the Oklahoma State season. He's not our leader in receiving right now. He has about 84 yards on the year. So haven't been able to find him a lot, but he's a guy that Gundy even said that they were going to try to get the ball to more. And then another guy that could break out on the receiving end is wide receiver Terrell Davis, who led all of Division I and Division II in receiving yards last year. It's about 1,600 yards. So clearly he can put in the work and just make those big plays. So he's leading us in receiving right now. So I look to him for Zane Flores to rely on him to get him the ball. And then, yeah, just kind of speaking to what you said there with Sawyer Robertson, this team has had, I think they've struggled to have guys emerge on the defensive side of the ball. New coordinator Todd Grantham, and then just a lot of new guys as well. But the only time they've really had success was that week 1 matchup versus UT Martin, and a guy named Wendell Gregory, defensive end kind of edge guy. He spent time at South Carolina last year. He had 3 sacks versus UT Martin alone. Since then, Oklahoma State has had 0 sacks altogether as a whole, which is a little bit shocking and frustrating. But yeah, if this team has a chance to put pressure on Sawyer Robertson, I'd say look out for it being Wendell Gregory.
So I hadn't really dug into the stats that deeply. So 0 sacks through the last 2 games.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, considering also that the guy that is our defensive coordinator is a defensive line coach was a defensive line coach in the NFL. So
yeah, definitely Cowboys going to want to turn that around today. Last question for you. I know you're a student and you will be passionately cheering on the Cowboys today, but put on your journalist cap with me. What's actually going to happen on the field this afternoon? What do you expect? And if you want to offer up a score prediction, that would be pretty cool as well.
Yeah, I'm really going to try and keep my journalism hat on here. I will be in the stands rooting for the Cowboys, I won't lie. But, I mean, I just have to go with the facts here. I'm going to take the Baylor Bears to defeat the Cowboys. And they got the edge on us last year. Obviously, completely different situation. It was in Waco. And unfortunately, I don't think Oklahoma State has improved since then. And I think Baylor has stayed the same in a lot of facets. So just with the turnover with, obviously, Doug Meacham, first ever game as a head coach. He's never been a head coach. So we don't know what that's going to look like at all. So for me, I'm going to stick with the facts here, stick with the obvious and say it's going to be Baylor. And I'll go 38 for Baylor. I think they're going to throw a good amount of points up there on the board. And then I'll go 20 for Oklahoma State. Throw them a couple touchdowns, see what they can do there, considering they have everything to prove.
By the way, 38-20 would cover the spread for Oklahoma. It's a 20.5 point favorite for Baylor today. Well, Alyssa, it's been awesome. Thank you so much. I'm expecting a very exciting game. I think Coach Meacham's going to throw the kitchen sink out, try to do anything he can to get these guys excited and maybe get a win under their belt. And I'll just tell you, as someone who was there in 2013 and has watched Baylor lose way more games in Stillwater than they've won, it still frightens me a little bit coming up there today. I'm fairly confident Baylor's got the better team, but anything can happen in Stillwater. Should be a great one today. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us on Green and Gold Game Day.
Of course, thank you so much for having me. I've had a blast.
365 Sports Green and Gold Game Day is made possible in part by Ascension Providence here in Waco.
At Camp Info Waco, we believe fun is more fun outside. We also believe fun is more fun in the pool, by the water park, at your RV, in a cabin, and with the friends and family you love the most. So grab a drink, take a ride, and stay a while. We think you'll discover that fun is more fun outside, too.
I'm Cole Posey, and I'm a third-generation Baylor Bear. During my time playing baseball at Baylor, I started a hat company called Hondo, which started as meek and humble beginnings, has quickly grown into something more. Over 40,000 hats sold, and then over 100 retail locations nationwide. I love vintage Western hats, but couldn't stand the condition they came in, so I decided to make my own. Vintage style, but with modern aesthetics. Thank you so much for making my dream come true, and for enabling what was once a dream to become a reality. God bless.
I mean, yeah, a new coach comes in, they're going to turn the roster. I think that's just we've got all these transfer portal stats and what Dion did and what Fritz has done. I mean, that's the deal, man. That's the game that's being played nowadays.
Maybe a little bit unknown at quarterback. I mean, unknown to the rest of the world, but he dove into the portal and got a guy who is super, super athletic.
South Dakota State's really good. Give us a little bit of breakdown about what they can do and what Oklahoma State needs to be worried about.
Look at that form right there. I need to say nothing else about this because I found one.
Welcome back to the 365 Sports Green and Gold Game Day Show. Faith Lynch, Scotty Swingler, Matt Mosley coming up on our 29-minute count to kick off.
Wow.
Thank you to Alyssa Brandon from Behind the Enemy Line. She was awesome. I got to meet her at Big 12 Media Day. So sweet, so kind, so great that she was able to give some insight to OSU. Matt, Scotty, got anything for us? Bear Essentials time?
We do. We have so much for you. It is time for Bear Essentials, and we'll look at some of the keys to today's game. And one thing, Faith and Scotty, standing out to me is this ongoing story and the mystery surrounding Sawyer's refusal to take off and run, and something that other teams are having so much success. In fact, if Oklahoma State is to have success early in this game, why in the world wouldn't they try to run their quarterback? He may be the slowest man in the world, and I would still try to run him against this defense. The Bears have a quarterback who runs probably a 4.6. Like, he's athletic. He's got plenty of speed. We have seen him take off up the middle on 50-yard runs. It should be a part of what Baylor does. And if you think about it, I mean, Scotty, when they had Gary Bohannon, it became such a, I know everybody hated that offensive coordinator by the time he left, Jeff Grimes, but when it worked big time because he impacted everything. And it's harder to account for an offense when you have a quarterback and he was big and could lean on a team. And Sawyer has great size. He's got great speed. And the fact that he will not take off is maddening. One of the worst things you can see, I think, as a fan, is you see your quarterback on like a 3rd and 8, and he, instead of taking what appears to be at least 15 free yards, you hurl it into coverage. And we did see that against Arizona State, and it's very annoying.
I mean, it's 2025. It's not 2005, right? In 2005, Vince Young was an anomaly. And by the way, Vince Young would have always been an anomaly because that's one of the best football players to ever play the game. But guys didn't run like that. If you think of every great Baylor quarterback since RG3, came to campus, his first season starting, it was 2008. Outside of Bryce Petty, who was the exception, every one of them has used their legs well. Every one of them. Charlie Brewer, when healthy, was electric on the ground, and he was not nearly as athletic as Sawyer Robertson is. Nick Florence put up a lot of rushing yards in 2012, and he wasn't nearly as athletic as Sawyer Robertson. Then, of course, you have guys like Griffin, Russell, Bohannon, who running the football was part of their identity as a quarterback. They were so good at it. Sawyer could be that. I think he's a better passer than he is a runner, Matt. But I am, it's not my business to get into why or who said or what's. Bottom line is what you just said. I think it's taking the easy plays that are there. And I think maybe that's how I would broaden that point to the entire team, right? I think one of the questions about Dave Aranda as a coach is, are his players thinking about what's happening so much? They're not reacting. It's not instinctive, right? That was something about some of Matt Rule's teams that you knew was happening. It was just reactive. And so if you're a quarterback at any point, and there's 5 yards, 10 yards to gain without any conflict. Like, take the yards. Like, take the yards. I almost want to look at Aranda, and I don't want to change how Baylor plays. I like that we go for it on 4th down, but against Arizona State, it would have made a difference. Hey, if you're inside the 15 and it's 4th down, take the 3 points. Like, take what's in front of you. Against this Oklahoma State team, I know we're talking about Bear Essentials for today's game in particular. I'm with something that you said earlier. Force some turnovers. The difference in that Arizona State game when you lose by 3 is you forced no turnovers. You gave the ball up 3 times, not good. Your defense didn't get the ball back for you once, not good. I know that defense really stepped up in the red zone. But I would love against this Oklahoma State team with a quarterback who's not very experienced or scary, just to be honest with you, force some turnovers, make some plays on that defensive side of the ball.
You know, that what you said, though, I wrote it down about the field goals thing. And I'm not someone like, please, let's score a bunch of field goals. No coach loves like settling for field goals, but they all do it from time to time, and they know it, and this coach has to be forced into it. Now, again, we hope this is a big enough blowout where it's not a huge factor. But I think this is essential for today and in moving forward. And he addressed this. I listened back to the Aranda, about 20 minutes that he does on Monday with the assembled media there. And there's usually something nice to eat there. Basically, he admitted Monday of like how much he hates field goals. And again, it's different than what most coaches, you don't want to have to settle for a field goal. But then what was the final score of that game the other night? It was 27-24. What was the final score of the game last night between TCU and Arizona State? It's 27-24. You think like a single field goal can't make a huge difference in a game? It absolutely can. And it's one thing if your offense that night is performing and you're on the move and you're in some kind of rhythm or whatever, but like there have been some, even in the red zone, some fourth or even inside the other team's 30, there have been some 4th down plays that just don't make sense. Like they're just not even and sometimes
they don't seem like high percentage plays
not at all.
the time.
Not at all. And I was trying to see what exactly he said. And his point was touchdowns and what they do for a team are so much more impactful than field goals. But again, why you think in the NFL, which is the top, of the whole business, you think they skip? I mean, it's just crazy. They take points so many times, and sometimes it gets a little maddening, and maybe it's almost too much that way. But boy, he has a disdain for it. Even though it'd be one thing here, I would have a better feeling about it if we were able to all go, you know what, they're horrible in the kicking game.
Yeah.
They've got a horrible kicker. Well, their kicker stepped up and made a 53-yarder
My guy, Connor Hawkins.
last week. So it's not like he can't make them.
Yeah.
So that is I think that's something moving forward, but he's not going to change.
No,
He's not. I think we're beating our heads against the wall to think that Dave Aranda is going to change his approach when it comes to 4th down or taking points or not taking points, because I think more than any other coach in the country, he leans heavily on his analytics staff and whatever the chart says. And I can't think of Joey used to be like it. I don't know if he's totally. I think he's backed off just a tad bit. Talk about the Texas Tech coach Joey McGuire. I don't know if anybody else in the country like is just. He's willing to he does not ever coach with his gut. And maybe there's analytical people that would love that and go, oh, good. We finally have a guy who doesn't trust his gut. But I think most of us actually like a coach who has a feel for the game and sometimes, doesn't just go with a chart.
I think Coach Aranda wanting to go for it every single 4th down, like always going for it, I think maybe taps into that. I want to see a coach play with his gut. I want to see a coach go for it. I think he is a very analytical guy, though. I just in the way he talks and I think how he lives his life it's going to translate into how he wants to be perceived as a football coach. I think I don't know, getting more into like if I like Dave Aranda or not, but I think he has both of he wants to play with his gut and wants to trust his guys, but also have more of an analytical side to him. For me, I think for these keys to the game or Bear Essentials, I just want to see something consistent from our guys this week. I'd love to see defense be consistent. I think they did great last week. Let's move that over. Your stars are going to be stars this week. I think that's what it is. I think Josh Cameron is too hard on himself as an individual player to not have a great week this week. I love his mom on Twitter. She's always like, my kid had a rough week, but he learned this, this, and this. And she's my girl. Scotty always is tweeting back at her
She's
too.
amazing. She is a partaker of the Please Bear With Me podcast. So I love Mama Cameron.
Yeah, she's awesome. But I think your stars will be stars today. I'd love to see defense be consistent. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it a lot, but this is an emotional game for Baylor. I would like to see them get some of their spark back, see a little bit of like what can roll over into this next week.
I want to speak to that, and then I'm going to tag out and let Jackson Posey sit in my seat and finish. But before I do that, let me just give a key to that point. So much of my frustration as a fan with these first 4 weeks has been what appears to be a lack of fire, particularly early in football games. It seems as though I trust the talent on this team. Like I've been talking about the talent all summer. I think it's a wildly talented team. I trust, for the most part, Jake Spavital and Dave Aranda to call a good game schematically. I actually do. But it looks like there is a slowness or a overthinking or a lack of oomph at the start of football games. I don't know how else to say that. I don't know like another phrase to use other than fire or gumption or excitement. Like there seems, so I want to see Baylor, and we talked about this like in the last hour, come out and win this game early. Like I don't want to be waiting until the third quarter to feel really good about this football game and say, oh yeah, we got it. We've won the game. Like I want all these players to come out with a confidence from kick. Like play confident, play fast, play free, play your game. Like Baylor has a talent deficit. I talked to Alyssa about this, right? Baylor has a talent deficit over Oklahoma State this year that they've probably never had over Oklahoma State ever. At least not since I've been following Baylor football closely. The gap is big. Play like it. Come out, make that field. When I talked to Gary Bohannon about beating Ole Miss in the Sugar Bowl, he said, we came out and told them in the first quarter, this is our field. We don't care where we are or what the name on your jersey is. It's our field today. I want to see that kind of approach from Baylor early in this game. Come out, dominate the game early. Before I tag team Jackson in, we do need to thank Ascension Providence, particularly their orthopedics and sports medicine division. Thank you so much for sponsoring Green and Gold Game Day. They've given us this brand new trailer that we'll include in our ad breaks moving forward this season, but we want to run it for you right now really quickly, and we'll come right back.
You want the best for your body. You want Ascension Providence, the largest sports and orthopedics group in Central Texas. Using innovative and cutting-edge technology, we're able to understand your body better than ever, delivering treatment with precision. And with our fellowship-trained and board-certified doctors, you'll receive excellent care. Work with a team dedicated to your health, wellness, and safety.
So you can perform
at your best.
Ascension Providence, caring for Texas families for over 120 years.
Welcome back into the Green and Gold Game Day show. I'm here with Faith Lynch and Matt Mosley. And Baylor's got Oklahoma State tonight. What are y'all looking for in this game?
You know, I just we talked about some of it.
Yeah.
But I'm looking for a haymaker early. And you know, you have to a lot of times in an emotional day for Oklahoma State, you have to kind of talk about absorbing the first blow and like matching their intensity. I don't know how you match Jackson like just weirdness. I think there's a lot of weirdness that's going to be in the air there. And I've been kind of trying to check in as we get closer to kickoff, like what some of the scenes are like, some of the signage, some of the things that are out in the parking lot. And I said this earlier, I've seen it time and time again, where a fan base is ready for a change. And this TCU was like this. They're like, I think Gary's gotten stale. I think things are, and then it happens. And this reality sets in like, oh my gosh. I mean, it even happened to a certain extent. And they did it in a much kinder, more generous way But, Coach Taft wasn't totally. I think he could have gone another couple of years. And I think when you saw how it played out, you wish he had have gone another couple of years. And now we're so far removed. Any sort of genteel or respectful way of dealing with coaches, like that's gone now. I mean, think about the UCLA coach. Think about the Virginia Tech. It's like 2 weeks in. We're not competitive. We're losing. We're firing our coach. This is a guy that had been great for them for 20 years. If you look at their 10-win seasons, which I think let's say they've had, I don't know how many in school history. Jackson, you were doing all the history work.
They've had 11, and I believe he was either coaching or playing for 10.
10 of them. Been involved in 10 of the 11. Thank you for knowing all. I've got a lot of more questions to bounce off of you. You need to participate in the Schmaltz's trivia question contest on the Mosley Show. You could win 2 free sandwiches. But they need to come out in this one and establish some form of identity. And that's why I keep coming back to the takeaways. It's like, what is this defense's identity right now? Right now, unfortunately, the identity is giving up huge plays. And it's happening too much in my life because I also cover the Cowboys and they don't know how to communicate. And there are a lot of breakdowns with Baylor. And I think you get to this time of the year and then that K-State game next week, and you kind of start to need to know like what you need to have a better idea. Like, every week, is Carl going to be there? Hey, Carl Williams, is he ready? And the answer this week was, yeah, we think he might be. We think, and you get the report Thursday, he's out for the game. You have breakdowns, you have bust. You did see one. You saw one player last, 17 for the cornerback, the transfer. I thought he actually had some moments in that game where he was sticky on the outside. It's just in Reading has been nice. There are individuals. I think the most encouraging sign from that Arizona State game was like, and Dave talked about it, Jackie Marshall. We're like, who's the star? Like, who's the man? We thought Keaton might be. You go into a season, you're like, who are the big dogs on defense? And we needed it, and Baylor needed it to be Jackie. Yeah. And he just got hurt, and he wasn't ready, and all that kind of stuff. Against Arizona State, he started making like huge plays. And so that today has to lead to the turnovers. And the good news is, what a great team to face if you want takeaways. What a team that's reeling, a quarterback that barely has any confidence, and they just lost to Tulsa. Now, again, can you imagine Baylor Twitter? And if it's close at halftime, people are not going to react in like a reasonable, it's tough. It was tough with Gundy. They just ran into that was a reasonable reaction to the loss at TCU in 2021. Because that team, we didn't know how good that team was going to be. We knew they were pretty good. But there was enough talent on that TCU team that you kind of could have seen something like that coming. Today, if they stay in this game at halftime, it would be a complete shock. And that speaks to really where that program is. And they've got to dig it out of the cellar. I mean, it's as bad. And I don't know how good a job or bad a job that is. Now, to somebody's point from earlier, their donors are sitting on the sideline, and I do think the money's about to come in.
I agree.
I think it's too proud of a program, and in the basically to honor Boone Pickens, somebody's going to step up and go, okay, I'm ready. I just needed a direction, and here's what you need. And it's always sad for the previous coach, but it happens. It happens to UNC. It happened with Mac Brown. I mean, like the minute Belichick came in, it's like, okay, now here comes all the money. Oklahoma State has that money.
Well, I think that was part of probably why Gundy had to leave, is because he was not bought into that whole, let's NIL, let's do it. Like, let's get donors on board. He wanted to stick with his roots of like, this is how I want my football team to look. This is how I'm going to do it. Get on board or don't come on board. And so I think that's probably part of the reason that they asked him to leave. So we will see if donors, get on board with what's going on next. But I don't know. I mean, I think I am very curious to see what type of attitude Oklahoma State presents today. I think that's going to be a really big indicator of what we see next from them throughout the season. If they come out mourning the loss of their head coach right now, that will show you the tone for the season. If they come out fired up and pissed off, that's going to show you what the rest of the season is going to look like for them. Go Oklahoma State. Go and prove your AD wrong for firing him. Go in, go do your thing. Go run a game. See what happens. But it will be interesting to see the moods. I don't think I've really talked about maybe seeing how the feelings of each team is really going to reflect their play today. Jackson, what are your keys to the game?
Yeah, I would expect there to be some type of like dead cat bounce, Jerry Kill at TCU in 2021 type thing early on. The problem is there's just so little left of what was the great Oklahoma State teams of the past. You look at last year, 52-0 loss to Colorado to end that season. You open this season with a 69-3 loss against Oregon in your first FBS game. Obviously, the home loss against Tulsa, which maybe was the best you looked in any FBS game over that 3-game span. That's a home loss to Tulsa. And so I expect Oklahoma State to start relatively fast. I just don't think they have enough juice in the tank left to sustain that for very long.
I don't disagree. When we come back, we're going to take a quick break. We will be talking about our predictions, final words, 9 minutes to kick off, getting ready to see what's going on in Stillwater. Stay tuned for our predictions.
Cole Posey, and I'm a third-generation Baylor Bear. During my time playing baseball at Baylor, I started a hat company called Hondo, which started as meek and humble beginnings, has quickly grown into something more. Over 40,000 hats sold, and then over 100 retail locations nationwide. I love vintage Western hats, but couldn't stand the condition they came in, so I decided to make my own. Vintage style, but with modern aesthetics. Thank you so much for making my dream come true, and for enabling what was once a dream to become a reality. God bless.
Welcome to a special edition of the Doomsday podcast, coming to you from the Star in the players' meeting room with defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus.
You now have two responsibilities this year that you didn't have last year, and that's being a first-time head coach and calling plays for Dak Prescott for the first time. But now we're doing something that we do annually. We get Stephen Jones's perspective on this football team and how it was built and what expectations should be.
At Camp Info Waco, we believe fun is more fun outside. We also believe fun is more fun in the pool, by the water park, at your RV, in a cabin, and with the friends and family you love the most. So grab a drink, take a ride, and stay a while. We think you'll discover that fun is more fun outside, too.
Hey, what's up? My name's Scotty, and I used to host a Baylor football podcast called Please Bear With Me, and I'm so excited to finally let you know that we are so back, baby. Please Bear With Me is coming back not only as a podcast, but as a YouTube show on the Rogue Media Network.
We are Rogue Media Sports.
365 Sports Green and Gold Game Day is made possible in part by Ascension Providence here in Waco.
Welcome back to the 365 Sports Green and Gold Game Day Show. The last 6 minutes of our show. Want to get you right to kick off Matt is ready for kickoff as well. But before we get started with all of our predictions and final thoughts of the game, let's go ahead and check our Hour 2 fan poll that Andrew has so nicely put together for us. It's coming. The poll was, there it is. Which Baylor position group has a standout game versus Oklahoma State University? Offensive skill players. Matt, everyone's with you today.
Yeah.
Everyone's on the same train.
As is usually the case, right?
Is that what it is? The Matt Mosley Mind extension?
That's right.
In our poll group.
I just think this is what people want to see.
Yeah.
And it's what Aranda called for. And they did not perform well enough against Arizona State. And this would be a great game to go grind out yards in a lot of different ways and to have some balance. And if you've got these great running backs and you have one who's really, really good, turn him loose. Like there's no reason in the world why you wouldn't go on the road and let him get after it. It's not. I mean, I think he should be fresh. So I think that'd be good.
B-Wash. Yeah, let him go.
Yeah.
Let him go. Him, Josh Cameron, Trig, I think also is going to have another great game today. But I think, again, like, I don't know, I'm a big defense. I like to see improvement. I like to see consistency. So when we've been talking about defense the first 2 games, then we make a change and it works a little bit last game. I want us to stack days. I want us to continue to build on that. So I'd like to see our.
I have a hard time remembering like a time when I had less of an idea of like who the pass rushers are on a team. And I know they've had some guys get injured and they've had a revolving door to a certain extent, but generally, even going back to the Rule era, you really knew where the pressure was coming from. And there's no consistency with this team. And so this would be a big day to get after a young quarterback who struggled a lot, and treat him like Oklahoma treated Auburn's Jackson Arnold. I mean, they sacked him 9 times in that game. And I know, Oklahoma cheated in that game and they were hiding wide receivers. But you have to affect the quarterback, and Baylor has not done that. In fact, the quarterback has been able to run too much, and that's a great place to start, is to eliminate that to the best you can. This is not a guy who should be running wild on you, but I promise you they'll try.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they?
No, I don't disagree. I'd love to see them try it. Do you want to do score updates along with our predictions?
Yeah,
I want to go first.
I want to hear this, but I want to see Jackson here in a second.
Jackson can kick us off in his attire over there.
Excitement of yes.
Look, I was inspired by our mutual friend Baylor legend Gerald McNeil, and look, I am also 5'7". I'm 135, not 145, and so this jersey might be a little large on me. It does go several inches past my knees, but Dave, if you need somebody to play in garbage time, I will put my body on the line. Doug Meacham, I'm willing to enter the transfer portal for this week, though. Give me the Bears 45 to, let's call it a really annoying 16 in a game where the Bears start slow, but ultimately find the groove in the second half.
I just watched the ending of Rudy, and I saw Rudy Rudiger, and I saw him get in there and make that sack, and everybody was wanting Rudy to go in. And that was whoever that actor is, he's about Jackson's size. He was wearing number 45. Right now, Jackson's in 95. I would like to see for one play Jackson line up.
Throw me in a nose tackle. Oh, yeah.
Line up right over that Oklahoma State center.
Oh,
I think they couldn't get out of their stance. They'd be laughing so much. But no, I think Jackson's feisty enough that he'd make a play and he'd use that swim technique.
I'd wake up real rested the next day.
Oh gosh. I'll go with just a nice 42-14 Baylor. I don't know. I'm very curious to see how both of these teams are going to come out in the first 10 minutes of how they want to establish their identity in this game. But I do think Baylor is going to have an opportunity to really make some noise and kind of run over OSU. So I'd like to see them happen. Love a high scoring game for us, low for OSU, and see what happens.
All right, 52-14. I'm adding to what I said on my show. It's now 52-14. And Oklahoma State clowned on Baylor in 2020, if I'm remembering that correctly. It's time for the Bears to clown on them in their misery.
Thank you, Matt. Let's do it. Clown on him. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in with us this morning. It's always a joy to spend our time with you. Thank you for watching. We appreciate you. We will see you next week. Home tailgate versus K-State. Sick 'em Bears. Let's get after it.
At Hellberg, we've received accolades for our barbecue, but my real passion is in cultivating world-class culinary experiences that bring people together. We would love to cater your next event. You receive a fully personalized experience complete with a custom menu that's sure to impress your guests. And even though we're known for our barbecue, it goes way beyond that. We've done everything from boxed lunches to grilled oysters and whole roasted pigs. Basically, if you can dream it, we can do it. This is at the heart of what we do. This is Hellberg.
At Camp Info Waco, we believe fun is more fun outside. We also believe fun is more fun in the pool, by the water park, at your RV, in a cabin, and with the friends and family you love the most. So grab a drink, take a ride, and stay a while. We think you'll discover that fun is more fun outside, too.
I mean, yeah, a new coach comes in, they're going to churn the roster. I think that's just we've got all these transfer portal stats and what Dion did and what Fritz has done. I mean, that's the deal, man. That's the game that's being played nowadays.
Maybe a little bit unknown at quarterback. I mean, unknown to the rest of the world, but, you know, he dove into the portal and got a guy who is super, super athletic.
South Dakota State's really good. Give us a little bit of breakdown about what they can do and what Oklahoma State needs to be worried about.
Look at that form right there. I need to say nothing else about this because I found one.
When Central National Bank decided to partner with Baylor women's basketball, we didn't know exactly what that partnership would look like.
What brings you into the bank today?
For the last couple of months, I've been noticing a charge on my account, and I would like to block it.
I see. So you have a charge?
Yes.
And you'd like to block it?
Yes.
I think you should take the charge.
What?
Yeah, I definitely think you should take the charge.
I don't think you understand.
Sometimes you just have to take one for the team.
Is there a manager available?
We love that Coach Colin is all about the team. Once we get the vocabulary down, the sky's the limit.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor women's basketball.
I have Mac Rhodes, director of Baylor Athletics, on the phone. Mac, can you tell Peggy why she should take the charge?
Of course she should take the charge. Wait, are you at the bank again? And who is Peggy?
I'm Cole Posey, and I'm a third-generation Baylor Bear. During my time playing baseball at Baylor, I started a hat company called Hondo, which started as meek and humble beginnings, has quickly grown into something more. Over 40,000 hats sold, and then over 100 retail locations nationwide. I love vintage Western hats, but couldn't stand the condition they came in, so I decided to make my own. Vintage style, but with modern aesthetics. Thank you so much for making my dream come true and for enabling what was once a dream to become a reality. God bless.